Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Janice Castro on Latine ADHD. Today, we're going to talk about self compassion and why it's a powerful tool for people with ADHD. But first, I do want to let y'all know that this episode and this podcast is not a replacement for therapy. And I want to put a call out. If you are BIPOC identified, you've been diagnosed with ADHD, or you're a specialist or expert who focuses on ADHD or neurodiversity, I'd love to have you on the podcast so you can share your story and go ahead and check out the link in the show notes, or you can head to my website, www.drjanicecastro.com. You can fill out the Google form and we'll see if we can get you on here. Let's dive into today's episode. When folks with ADHD are trying to navigate this US society that was not built for them, I often hear things like, I'm not good enough, I haven't reached my full potential. And as humans in general, we tend to be our own worst critics. People with ADHD tend to be really harsh towards themselves because they're trying to keep up with a society that wasn't built for them. They're trying to keep up with the ways that the systems and the institutions in place are expecting them to act like they don't have ADHD. That's where self compassion is going to be super helpful in those moments when you're struggling or you're making mistakes. So, fun fact, I came across this culture called Māori culture, and it's out in New Zealand. When it comes to ADHD, they call it, and I'm going to try my best to pronounce this correctly, they call it aroriritini. Arororitini, which translates to attention goes to many things. So when you compare that term and that explanation for ADHD, that attention goes to many things versus attention deficit hyperactive disorder in the US, that's a very big shift in language. When we think about the word deficit, it means there is a lack of, less than. And so I wonder if we had a kinder way to describe ADHD in the US, the way that the Māori culture does, what could that do? But the name isn't changing. I remember one time I was in this webinar and I had put in the chat because it was like these experts on ADHD. And I was like, will there be any changes in the name? Because I don't think we need the word deficit in there. It already has the word disorder in it. But they said no, that we needed the word deficit, which, attention deficit sounds so much more different than attention goes to many things. But, anyways, we can't change the language, maybe at least not yet. But what we do have control over is ourselves and the way that we talk to ourselves and how we treat ourselves. When we think about self compassion, yes, it's important for everyone, but in particular for folks with ADHD, it's about being kind to yourself. That's basically what it is, being gentle with yourself, especially when you're struggling or you're making mistakes. And people with ADHD often find themselves making mistakes because of the forgetfulness or distractibility. When you're practicing self compassion or you're practicing trying to be kind to yourself, it has different parts to it. One of them is mindfulness. Mindfulness meaning that you notice how you're feeling without judging yourself. Maybe you're feeling sad, angry, stressed, and just acknowledging that. Like, I'm stressed. Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Got it. Not judging, just aware. And the second piece is common humanity, which is realizing that everybody goes through hard times and challenges. So it normalizes it, right? You're not alone. Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm not alone with feeling overwhelmed. A lot of people feel overwhelmed with whatever it is that you're feeling overwhelmed with. So you're humanizing the experience for yourself. And then the third piece is self kindness, which is treating yourself with the same kindness you'd show a friend. So in that moment, you practice the mindfulness of, okay, I'm aware that I'm stressed. I know I'm stressed out right now. A lot of people get stressed out. And then the third piece of the self kindness, that's your opportunity to say something sweet to yourself, such as, may I be gentle with myself? May I be patient with myself? The hope is that when you practice those three components, the mindfulness, the common humanity, and the self kindness, you are practicing self compassion and you're giving yourself an opportunity to be able to keep persevering, keep moving forward because you gave yourself that little self compassion break. Why is it important to be kind to yourself to be able to keep moving forward, though? Because often what I've heard is people worry that if they're trying to be kind to themselves, if they try to be all soft, that they're going to be too easy on themselves. And it's almost as if they're not going to work as hard. So I'm here to tell you that that's wrong. What the research, okay, we always going back to the research. What the research has shown is that when people practice self compassion, it actually impacts our brains. There is this part in our brain called the amygdala, and it's a very small piece in the middle of our brain, and it's the part that process any type of negative emotions such as stress or trauma. Whenever you're feeling stress or trauma, the amygdala starts to light up, it starts to activate because it's processing those negative emotions. What happens when you practice self compassion? When you're feeling stress and that amygdala is being activated, the self compassion decreases the activity in the amygdala. It starts to calm down the amygdala. If your amygdala isn't as activated and it's starting to decrease that part of the brain, then you're going to be able to move forward with ease. You're going to be able to move forward through this stressful or overwhelming moment with a clearer mind rather than pushing through and be like, I can't be easy on myself. I got to just push through. You don't need to be so hard on yourself. So I also realize that people with ADHD will sometimes think that they're broken. There's something wrong with them. And it makes sense why they would think that way, because if you have ADHD and you've been trying to navigate these systems, jobs, schools, without the support and resources to help you thrive, yeah, it makes sense why you would think that you're broken. And I'm here to say that you are not broken and that maybe you're feeling stuck. A lot of people feel stuck when the things that they used to do to help them accomplish or complete tasks aren't working anymore. When they feel like, okay, the things that I used to do, it's not working anymore, or I keep feeling overwhelmed, I keep messing up, then they feel stuck. And so when this happens, sometimes instead of practicing self compassion, what happens is they try to shove down the emotions or suppress it, trying to push it away. I feel stressed. Yeah, but I don't have time to be stressed right now. It's not about not having the time to be stressed or trying to push away the emotions or shove it down and keep pushing. It's about being able to, yes, practice the self compassion, but also be aware that we need to process the emotions. We can't keep it bottled up and keep it stuck there. I'm going to share with y'all a metaphor that helps to explain why you are not broken. You are probably just feeling stuck. The metaphor goes, one of the most powerful abilities of the human mind is problem solving. It's helped us not only change the world, like invent tools, but also explore beyond it, like going to outer space. Problem solving is simple. A problem is something we don't want. The solution is either avoiding or getting rid of that problem. In the physical world, that works so well. If you have spilled milk, you go grab your paper towels, you clean it up. If you've got a skunk in front of your door, you close that door. If the weather is bad, You can't stop the weather, but you can protect yourself by staying inside, grabbing an umbrella, or wearing the right clothes to protect you. If the ground's too dry, you can water it or move to a better spot. Our minds are like problem solving machines, and they're good at this. Since problem solving works so well in the outside world, it makes sense that our minds try to do the same with our inner world, our thoughts, feelings, memories, and urges. But the problem is when we try to avoid or get rid of unwanted thoughts or feelings, it often doesn't work. It just causes more pain. So when we're trying to avoid these difficult feelings like stress, feeling overwhelmed, angry, upset, whatever it is, you might try to reach for a temporary fix, substances or distractions like online shopping. I know people call it, what is it called? Shopping therapy? Oh, it's called retail therapy. There you go. Retail therapy. But, anyways, these distractions and these temporary fixes, they could help in the short term. You might get those dopamine hits in the moment, but it can lead to more pain in the long run. So when we can accept the emotion itself, being mindful of it, right? The awareness, it doesn't mean that we're just sitting with it and then that's it and we're never going to move forward. We're not going to accept and just sit with every difficult thought or feeling no matter what. Instead, think about it this way. There's two situations. When you're trying to control your thoughts and feelings and it feels impossible to do that. One example comes to mind is grief. We cannot control grief. The thoughts and feelings that come with grief, with loss, it's there. That's one situation where accepting our thoughts and feelings is recommended. Another situation is when the ways that we try to control our thoughts and feelings actually make life harder. So if you're relying on substances to try to avoid or control your thoughts and feelings because you just want to feel good again, it doesn't help you in the long term because you're not processing the emotions. Or when you're trying to do the retail therapy, look at that. I got it right this time. I said shopping therapy, same thing. Retail therapy, it's actually going to make your life a little harder because your bank account, right? So, unless money isn't an issue, but everybody's a little different. I do want to acknowledge, though, if you can manage your thoughts and feelings in a way that helps you live a better, more fulfilling life, go for it, whatever way that is. So, thank you so much for tuning in and listening on this topic of self compassion and for listening to the episodes and supporting Latine ADHD this season. We have come to an end for season one, and I am so grateful for each and every listener who's joined along the way. We'll be back in 2 months and take care.